Guten Morgen, everybody. Today we are in Switzerland, and behind me are the three highest peaks in the European Alps, the Jungfrau, the Munch, and the Eiger. It is a gorgeous day, and I have a great story to tell you about today. Yesterday, I had one of the most incredible experiences of my life. See, we're in Switzerland, and there are beautiful waterfalls, and the valleys are gorgeous. And before I was planning to come here, I was approached by my husband about skydiving. I had always wanted to skydive, but I don't consider myself a very extreme person. In fact, the most extreme thing I've done before then was paragliding, which made my mom very nervous and took me a while to get used to. But I thought it would be amazing. And when we think about doing it in Switzerland, which may be one of the most incredible spots to skydive in the world, I thought, all in, let's just do it. But it was still a while out, and so when we signed up online to do it, it didn't quite hit me in the way that I expected it to. I expected my heart to just jump and to panic, but I thought, well, it's still far out, so there's a lot of excitement about other things, and it probably will hit me as I go. Well, the time began to shrink, and it became weeks, and then days, and then the night before. And the night before, I expected that I wouldn't even sleep and I would just be tossing and thinking about it. But I was super peaceful. And it was actually odd how peaceful I was for this to be my first time skydiving. So the day comes and I wake up and I'm stoked. I'm excited, but I'm not scared and fearful. And I totally thought I would be. The day goes closer, we get dressed, we have breakfast, we go to the location, we're picked up in this cool van. Other people come and they're worried because we're gonna drop from over 13,500 feet to the ground and we're gonna hit speeds of over 200 kilometers an hour. So it's like crazy. Of course you should be nervous, but I just have this unnatural, kind of spooky piece that's going on. We go through and you have to watch a video of what's happening so you have an idea. And then the paperwork comes out because they can't be liable if anything bad happens. So they're letting you know exactly what it is and you have to sign off. Yes, it's okay. Yes, I understand. Yes, I'm down. We sign the paperwork, we put on our orange jumpsuits, and then they say, okay, we're gonna team you up and to go two at a time. And get this, we're going out of a helicopter, not even a plane, like a helicopter. So there's only two of us that are gonna jump at a time. We team up with our partners, they strap us in, and then we're up. And I volunteer, like, don't even know where it comes from, but they say, who wants to jump first? And my hand goes up and I'm like, what is happening? Let's just do it. We go up in the helicopter, we're above the clouds, we're up in the mountains, and we're looking down at the valley, and it's time. You step out, you look down, they pull your head up, and you're supposed to banana out and just go for it. And we are flying. We're falling to the earth faster than I can imagine. Air is hitting my face. I can hardly breathe, and your heart is just exploding, and I'm so excited. There's so much joy. I'm just like losing my mind. It is beautiful. There's crazy waterfalls coming from all directions, and it's just amazing. And then they pull the parachute and you're just looking at the most gorgeous view in all directions. And the whole time I'm excited and it never hits me. I'm never afraid. I'm never terrified. And I know in my mind that I should be because this is scary and there is the possibility of death. And yet, even though everybody else was scared, I just had this really unusual peace. We hit the ground and I am just jumping for joy and out of my mind, as you can see in the video. And I can't believe that it happened. It seems like a crazy, amazing dream that I just went through. All my partners come down and we're high-fiving and we're having a great day. The rest of the day, you're just on cloud nine. You're like, how did I do this? Did that really happen? And you get these videos and pictures and you're like, yep, that happened. That was real. And I'm telling my family about it and they can't believe it. I waited to tell my mom so she wouldn't have to be nervous. And finally, at the end of the day, it's all past us. I'm on ground. I'm sitting in the hotel. I'm looking out at these astonishing, magnificent mountains. and it hits me. Oh my gosh. You fell from above those mountains, from the sky, in a helicopter with nothing but a parachute. You totally could have died. My hands start sweating and I start getting nervous. Now that I'm on the ground completely safe, and I'm like, oh my gosh, Tiffany, you're just the weirdest ever. And in that moment, God shows me a lesson. He brings to mind a scripture that I'd heard before, Romans 8:36 and 37, which may be my favorite chapter. And it talks about facing death and how we'll face death and fear and sufferings in that chapter. But in verse 37, it says, you are more than a conqueror. In all these things, you are more than a conqueror. And it makes sense to me what more than a conqueror means. See, we all conquered skydiving and facing death, really, and coming from so high to the ground and facing our fears. But in it, God allowed me to be more than a conqueror, and that in that moment, I didn't have fear. I wasn't terrified. I didn't lose my mind. I didn't lose sleep because of it, and it was unnatural. It was supernatural how much peace I had in that situation. And he began to show me, Tiffany, that's how I want you to go through life, where you pass fear, where you can go through circumstances that are scary, that are life-threatening at times, and still not be fearful, still not lose sleep, still not go through the anxiety and the loss of peace because of it. God says that he can give us perfect peace, that he gives us, that he leaves us his peace. His peace he gives us, not as the world gives, that we don't have to be afraid. And he is the only one, by knowing him, that we can have this freedom from fear, even though we go through things. In that same way that was a symbolic lesson to me, that you can go through things that would normally cause you to just lose it and have peace, that he wants all of us to go through that same thing. I want you to know that that's available to you, and I want to pray for you as you're facing difficult times in your life, as you're facing maybe a horrible diagnosis, as you're facing a bad relationship, or you need a new job, or maybe you've been fired from your dream job and now you're going through this difficulty, or maybe you don't know what your next day will be, your next meal will be, your next step will be, your next life decision will be, and you're just losing your mind. And it makes sense. You should be afraid. But he can give you that same type of peace that's just unnatural, where you look back after it's done and say, how in the world did I go through that? And you know, it's because of God, and he's on the inside of you. I want you to have that, and I'll pray for you that you experience that, so you can look back and see the beautiful journey that you've gone on, and that all along he carried you through